Good morning, everyone. I'll present my topic is quality redefined. So let us go from a beautiful Mumbai range to land of apples, and I'm sure you must have understood Kashmir. So I'll take you to Kashmir for next 15 minutes. I'll tell you a story, basically. I'll start my presentation with a story. Now in Kashmir, before I go to a Kashmir, you must be knowing Singapore. Singapore, there is a Mustafa market. And I'm sure everyone must have gone to Singapore. He's the owner of the Mustafa, Mr. Mustafa. And Mr. Mustafa decides, it's a big market in Singapore. He decides to come to India and he goes to Kashmir. And he wants to purchase apples because he wants to sell apples in Mustafa market. And you know, Kashmir apples are one of the best quality in the world. So Mustafa goes and meets Mr. Q, okay? So he's a manufacturer of apples in Kashmir, a big manufacturer. So he goes and says, Mr. Q, kitna aap mujhe doge apples? So this guy, Mr. Q, who has a good manufacturing unit in Kashmir, says, I will give you around 500 kgs. Mustafa says, okay, thank you, deal done. Then he goes to Mr. X, same colleagues hai. So Mr. X ko puchta hai, kitna hai? So Mr. X says, I will give you 1,200. Oh, fantastic. Okay, 500, 1,200. He goes to Mr. Y. He says, I'll give you 1,600. Mustafa worries, एक ही land of Kashmir, एक ही land है Kashmir, back-to-back manufacturers है. One is saying only 500, one is saying 1,200, one is saying 1,600. Anyhow, he says, deal done with all. And so he goes and gets the apple to Singapore, basically Mustafa market. 6 months ke baad, again, the same guy, Mr. Mustafa comes, goes and visits Mr. Q and says, good. I have one more thing. I have an order for you. How much you will give? Mr. Q says, I'll give you 700. Again, he worries. 500 say only 700? ठीक है, fine, deal done. Mr. X, he says, last time मैंने 1,200 दिया था आपको, this time 1,600. Mustafa is very happy. Okay, he says, deal done. Mr. Y, last time मैंने 1,600 दिया था, I'll give you 2,000. Great. Mr. Mustafa always, uska mind mein concern hai. Why is Mr. Q not increasing from 500 only to 700? Anyhow, at the end of the day, he has got the order, gets the apple. 6 months ke baad, Mustafa again comes. Now he only goes to Mr. Q, okay? And he says, kitna doge? So Mr. Q says, I'll give you 800. And he does not go to Mr. X and Mr. Y. Simple. Mr. X and Y are worried. They have a meeting, they come to Mr. Q because they are friends. Mr. Mustafa is also there. Mr. Mustafa asks, you have not, basically, I have not given you the order. Mr. X and Y are very concerned. They are Q. He says, because your quality was not consistent, there were a lot of rejects, there were a lot of recalls. I got only consistent quality from Mr. Q. And that's why Mr. Q only is my supplier right now. Now, Mr. X and Y have lost their business. So they come and talk to Mr. Q. And they ask Mr. Q, what did you do differently? For the last 6 months, 8 months, we got order. But we did not got order. You got only the order, the third order. What did you do differently? So then Mr. Q says, okay, I'll tell you what I did differently, or what I did basically. And this happens in any organization, okay? And let me start with Apple only, okay? The first he says, build quality in design. You need to build quality in design, and that's fundamentally very important. Again, Mr. X and Y says, अरे बाबा simple language में explain करना, okay? What is build quality in design? So he explains with this, okay, picture, okay? You have seen this petrol pump, okay? Now, if build quality in design agar chahiye, okay, so what is very important, we have petrol cars, we have diesel cars. And everyone have experiences. When we sit on the steering wheel, हम लोग देखते हो जो पेट्रोल जो भरता है, अरे बाबा पेट्रोल है या डीजल है, he has to put the right petrol or the diesel, okay, in it. Assuming that it is POCA, okay, it is build quality in design. Only the nozzle is customized in such a way that only petrol nozzle will go in the petrol car and diesel nozzle will go in the diesel car. That's build quality in design. The second example is, I am sure everyone would have motichur laddu in the life. Kabhi na kabhi to khaya rahega. Okay. Now, if you see this motis and the ghee, if you blend it in the right proportion, wherever these motichur laddus are traveled, wherever transit, they will not break. So what I'm trying to say is, one of the fundamental aspect of quality, if you have to maintain right quality, is build quality in design. And every organization has to ensure that quality starts from design. Mr. X and Y said, yes, you are right. Okay. Let me go to the another thing. Blind spots and risk assessment. The second is identify risks and blind spot in your processes. Very important. Again, Mr. X and Y said, Baba, itna bada jargon mat batao. Okay, explain me in the simple language. Famous Ramayana, Sita, okay. Just imagine, okay, तभी भी उस जमाने में रिस्क असेसमेंट किया था, okay. Did we identify blind spot? Ravan cannot come inside, but Sita can go outside, na? Right? Again, identify blind spots, risk assessment in your processes. Here also, I'm sure we all will be driving cars, okay? We have mirrors, and if you see from this picture, I can only see one side of this. Blind spots, it is very difficult to see. So the second aspect of quality is identify blind spot and risk assessment in your processes. This will make or break your brand. I'm telling you, if you don't have a risk assessment process in place and a mitigation plan in place, it will make or break your brand. Fine, thank you, he said, very good. Next aspect is DCUA. Now, this is a code, okay, I'll explain to you. But before I explain to you, let me show you this is a video which I would like to show you. So what I would try to drive is, what is DQE all about? DQE all about is documentation, control, okay, communication, understanding, implementation. And I'll simplify this for you. At the end of the day, any organization, there should be a SOPs and documents in place. It has to be communicated to the right person on the shop floor or to the right people. Understanding should be there of that document, and implementation is very important. So I termed as DCUI. Okay, unless you have SOPs, documentation in the place, you will not be able to, okay, go through. Because everything has to be very clear, articulated. And this is what Marico did it, okay. We have very clearly SOPs. And I think when we design our models, at the end of the day, we went to the shop floor, okay, took them through all this document, and we checked whether they have understood it. So if you see this video, everything was a mess, okay. Document nahi tha, communication was a misunderstanding totally. Okay, and implementation was definitely a zero. Okay, let me go to the next part of the process is quality process automation. Okay, and what is quality process automation? If you see Digiyatra, this is a classic example of automation. Everyone who would have experienced it. And in the healthcare industry, sitting on the mobile, you can get everything. I think it's very important that if you talk of these three aspects, the fourth aspect is quality automation. This will make your life simpler. But one thing I need to caution you, just that my neighbor has an Alexa, I should not have an Alexa. Just customize it. If there is a need, okay, automate it. And I think automation of the quality processes are very crucial. Next part is capability building, okay. And I think this is a continuous improvement for any organization. Build up the capability. For example, if you say Dronacharya, he said, okay, fine, I have teach you now, tell me, what do you see? I can see a pigeon, I can see a parrot, I can see an eye, I can see the branches, right? Capability building is very important. And if you see this part, this is a bird which is shekru. It is available, it is an Indian squirrel, which is only found in Western Ghats, okay? Now the beauty of this bird is, okay, now everything is there in this. Design, quality, risk assessment, communication. This bird builds the nest only on the east side. If you go and see in the Western Ghats, in the nest it's only on the eastern side, because Western side, in Western Ghats, the winds come from the west, southwest. So they have built quality in design, okay? And they have passed this information generations and generations. So I think it's very important that if capability building at the right time is very important. Last, basically, I would like to start with culture and the mindset. If you see this apple, the seeds are very important. For any organization, and somebody talked in the morning, the culture and the mindset is very important. And the culture starts from that, okay, it starts from me and not from you. It starts from that we have to walk the talk. The mindset should be there. I think it's very clear that I want to drive quality. I want to drive quality processes. I want to ensure my right consumer quality. And the most important is walk the talk. So if you see this apple, okay, all the elements have been captured. Walk the talk is very important. At the end of the day, what I preach, I practice it. So this is what Mr. Q told Mr. X and Y. Just remember the apple and just remember these 6, 7 dimensions of quality. You will definitely get the right quality. Most important, the seeds, which is the culture and the mindset in an organization is very important. Do have the mindset to drive quality. I think coming to my next slide is all about maturity of the quality processes. And this is, any organization will start with this. If you see these arrows going here and there, so your quality processes are haywire. So it's a firefighting zone. In an organization, everything is going here and there. So everyone is firefighting. The second is thoda systematic approach. If you put right process in place, the arrows are going in some direction. The next is, this is an aligned approach. Ideally, this should be the integrated approach in an organization, okay, if you have to have a mix. And nothing to worry about that. Any organization goes through this cycle. It's not a worry. Some organization may be 3, some organization may be 1. At the end of the day, you have to move from 1 to 4. That's an integrated approach. Okay, consumer defines quality. I strongly believe at the end of the day, we, you, me, all are consumers. And what does you buy? We don't buy product. We don't buy services. We are very clear in our mind on the process capability. I'll get the product in between this. I am very defined. मुझे ये product is और ये services चाहिए इस zone में. People like us make quality. So that's why I'm saying design quality, okay, plus make quality is equal to your consumer quality. Very important. At the end of the day, your design quality has to be robust. Your make quality has to complement the design quality. And last but not the least, the consumer quality is very important. So what are the learnings? Robustness in basics, very important. Shift from a compliance to a performance mindset. I think it's critical that we shift from a compliance to a performance. Compliance is a hygiene, it's given. Challenge the paradigm, okay, challenge the paradigm. Integrate the best and next practices. Think differently, innovate. And these are the learnings which I want to share from Marico. Again, my last slide, okay. Quality, if you have to drive the business growth, outthink, outcreate, outlearn. And last, quality should be a profit center and not a cost center. It should not be a house of reworks, recalls, and everything. If you want to drive business growth, if quality has to be a key enabler for driving business growth, it should be a profit center and not a cost center. And last, I would say, you can't do today's job with yesterday's method and be in business tomorrow. Change, evolve. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope I've kept the time.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a really energizing session. Thank you once again. Maybe I'll pick 1 or 2 questions. I know we are already late by few minutes. Maybe I'll start with a simple question to you. Today, leaders are believing technology is key enabler in the modern days of driving business, not quality anymore. Okay, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I strongly believe that technology is very important because technology will make your life simpler. Okay, at the end of the day, human intelligence is there. Okay, you can't eliminate human intelligence, but technology will complement it. Okay, if you want to reduce your defect levels, if you want to ensure the right consistent quality, technology can be a key enabler. But at the end of the day, it's very important that human intelligence will always be there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the audience? Maybe I'll pick 1 question. Sorry, I need to restrict the number of questions.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful insights on quality. So there was a slide in your, I think, 2 or 3 slides back where you talked about phases of evolution of any organization, which is like everybody going crisscross, then aligning, then integration, and it takes time to align. So my question is, how do we manage the challenge of first time right expectation of a consumer or a customer who wants right everything from day one, whereas the organization has its own challenges of getting streamlined into the integrated approach, in multiple phases. How do we manage that challenge of first time right?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think at the end of the day, first, very important, if you have very clear on your consumer needs or your expectation, okay, you build quality in your design itself only, because that's the starting point, whatever it can be services, product. Otherwise, if you don't build quality in your design, plus you don't ensure the right make quality, you're damned to slaughter in the final quality, which goes to the consumer. So I think start with the right processes, okay? And it's again, my personal experience in being go at the shop floor level, who is responsible for quality, who drives quality. They have to understand what is quality for them. If you crack that, okay, by training, by capability building, by supporting them in the quality journey, I think it's very important that you will definitely ensure the right consumer quality to the market. But yes, it's a challenge, it's an evolution. That's why I've said, from a firefighting to a aligned approach, okay, integrate approach, it takes times. But the challenges can be overcome by some of the putting right processes in place. Because I always believe if you have the right process, you'll get the right results.
During lunchtime, I'm sure we can catch up with him. Sorry, because I have 5 more speakers to cover. Thank you very much, sir. It was a great, energizing session. I really appreciate the way in which you put across, it was like a case study. And normally, if you want to teach anything about quality, if you use a story, the way in which he went about presenting, it was really great. Thank you.